Long exposure photography is using slow shutter speeds measured in seconds and minutes to achieve a desired look in an image. Have you ever seen images with clouds streaking across the sky or silky smooth waters? Then you've most likely seen long exposure photography at work. And Ollie and I are here to show you exactly how you can achieve this in your own images. Right, Ollie? Are you right? Right? Good boy. Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Sarah from surreal ND Photography and this is Ollie. Looking a little down today because I wanted to film with him for 5 minutes and wouldn't let him go outside, but soon I'm gonna take him on a WALK. I wanna walk you through exactly how I do my long exposures. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before you get out there and start taking your long exposure images, you're going to need a few things and you're going to need to follow a few steps. The most important thing that you're going to need is a camera with manual and bulb mode. Because you're doing long exposure photography, you are going to be using longer shutter speeds and you need to be able to control this. With manual mode, most cameras only go up to shutter speeds of 30 seconds, but with bulb mode, you can go for as long as you want or as little as you want. Next, you're gonna need a tripod. This is absolutely essential, and if you are even just a regular landscape photographer or nature photographer, by now you should have a tripod. In order to do long exposures, your camera has to be steady, otherwise you will introduce blur into your image. Since you'll be operating in bulb mode, you are going to need something to control your shutter speed. The most common thing is a shutter release cable. You click it and you lock it and it allows you to control the shutter speed for as long as you want. If your camera can, like mine, a timer will be built into it. You just go into the settings and manually put in exactly how long of a shutter speed you want. Lately, I have been using this method, but I have been using the touch screen on the back of my camera. I have been trying this out. I would say that the downfall of doing this is that you're touching the screen and possibly introducing a little bit of shake into your images. So far, I haven't noticed anything yet, but I give it the most lightest touch possible. You can create long exposures without filters, but I would say it is more common to use neutral density filters in order to achieve the look that you want. Neutral density filters are filters that are darkened and you put them on the front of your camera lens. They help reduce the amount of light that is going to be hitting your camera sensor. They're very similar to a pair of sunglasses. They come in different strengths such as 3 stops, 6 stops, and 10 stops. I generally use a 10-stop ND filter, especially if I'm at a lake or doing any long exposure work with the sky. And I also have a 6-stop ND filter, which I would use more on something like waterfalls. You can get screw-on filters, drop-in filters, or square filters that you slide in using a filter kit system. They come in a whole variety of options. Find what works best for you, see what fits your lifestyle the best. Some of them require more parts, some of them require more room in your bag. Lots of things to consider when purchasing filters. You're also going to need some sort of app on your phone that helps you calculate your shutter speed. There are many companies that have apps. Just do a quick search and find which one works best for you. You could also print off a chart from the internet and keep that in your bag. I have a friend that has one laminated and he refers to this when he's doing his long exposures, and it has worked out great for him. So I'm going to take you through the steps that I go through when I set up and take my long exposure photographs. The very first thing that I do is compose for my image and then set up my tripod. Once we're all set up, I put my camera into manual mode. I set all my settings for the correct exposure for that scene. And a couple of things to think about here is when you're shooting long exposure, and because you're on a tripod, you should be using the lowest ISO you can. You don't have to worry about the movement since you're on a tripod, and this is just a way to reduce the amount of noise that will be added into your image. The most common apertures that I use when doing long exposure photography is f/16, f/11, and f/8. Let's say I was photographing a sunset. When I arrive, I would be using an aperture of f/16 and then I work my way to f/11, and then closer to sunset or at sunset, I'm typically shooting at f/8. I'm doing this to control the shutter speed time. Usually at the beginning of sunset, you want a longer shutter speed. because it's a lot brighter. So in order to see that movement, you need to be going a little bit longer. F11 I find is a perfect little sweet spot for long exposures at sunset or at sunrise. And then F8 at sunset so that you can have shorter shutter speed times, so you're not having to sit and wait for minutes and minutes and minutes while doing your long exposure. After sunset, I would by then probably actually switch to a 6 stop if I still wanted to get some long exposures after all the light and color is gone. Once you've dialed in all your settings, you then want to focus on the scene. After you've focused on the scene, and this is the part where I think everybody messes up and forgets to do, is you want to switch your lens or camera into manual focus. Once you put your filter on and your camera is still in autofocus, your camera is actually going to try and hunt, and it won't hunt for that focus, and it won't be able to find it because it is darkened by the neutral density filter. You also want to turn off image stabilization, as this can also add in unwanted movement while doing your long exposure. Next, I suggest putting on the 2-second self timer, because this gives your camera a little bit of time before it takes the image to get rid of the shake that you may have introduced by using a remote or touching the back of your screen. Next up, you now need to put it into bulb mode. Once you're in bulb mode, you're going to take these settings that you had when you were in manual mode and you're going to enter them into your app. So the app that I have on my phone, I put in the stop of filter that I'm using, and I put in the shutter speed from before when you're going to put the filter on, and that is going to give you the length of time that you want to run your long exposure. Next, you're going to put on your ND filter, and you're also going to want to make sure that you cover your eyepiece on the back of your camera, because while you're doing your long exposure, if it is exposed, there could be some light that leaks in there. And that is not what you want while doing your long exposure. I simply just use my lens cleaning cloth and I just drape it over my camera, but be careful using this method, because if it's windy, then the lens cleaning cloth is going to move, and again, that might introduce a little bit of shake into your image. Next up, you're going to want to sit with your ollie while you wait for your camera to take its long exposure image. My favorite thing about long exposure photography is absolutely the result. I love streaky clouds. I love the smoothness of water, whether it's a lake or it's an ocean. I love seeing it smooth out. But most of all, what I think is the coolest thing is seeing the result in the clouds. Depending on which way they move, I call them zooming clouds, if they're moving straight at you, this can actually become a really strong leading line into your image. Neutral density filters are such a great little piece in your landscape photography kit, and they just help you achieve such a dramatic and surreal look to your images. I would say I've been shooting long exposures for now probably 6 years. It's probably what 95% of my landscape images is. Unless I'm in the photograph, then it's a self-portrait. But if it's just a landscape photograph, I would say my niche is for sure long exposure photography. I want to show you guys a few images where it shows before and after of using a neutral density filter. Again, on all my images, I use a 10 stop, so that's the filter that you're going to see here. This image is actually the result from the little scenes that you saw where I was explaining things and showing how to photograph long exposures. This ended up being the result from that shoot. As you can see, it wasn't a very colorful sunset. There isn't much going on other than this really nice bit of light here and these stormy, moody clouds. I'll also say that this is an edited image, so it's not just the raw file, it is edited. So what I like the best about this image is the light right here, and I love the clouds, how they're dark and stormy around here. I do really love the rocks, but I still kind of find them a bit messy. So if I go back and revisit this scene, I think it might look a little bit better if there was light hitting them. So that'll just be something that I have to go back out and shoot. But my least favorite part about this image is the water right in here. I particularly don't like this rock here. I just find my eye keeps going to it. Ideally, I would wish that the whole sky was reflected in the water, but it was a little bit too windy for that, even though you can see a bit of the reflection in here, but it was just a bit too windy. So this is actually the straight out of camera raw file. So this is before the long exposure. As you can see, it's pretty dull, it's pretty flat, there is not a lot going on. We've got the rocks here. Everything in this image to me just kind of looks like one blob of the same color and not a lot going on. You can see in the water here that there's potential for a reflection, which I did get a little bit of, which was awesome. But obviously the sky, what a big difference. So when I was doing the long exposure after taking this image, the sun was setting just down in here. So I did get a little bit more light in this area. You can see it just slightly opens up. But in the long exposure, the sun was slightly lower and was starting to give off a bit more light here. But as you can see, the sky is pretty gray. It's pretty boring. Nothing's really going on. I think most people at this point would just pack up and go home. But this is another reason why I love shooting long exposures, is because you can take these really blah scenes and turn them into something so much more different. Like this, you can really pull out the drama when using a neutral density filter. Another example I want to show you guys is this one right here, and this is how I feel neutral density filters really pull out color, especially in this sky here. I'm going to show you the raw file in a minute, but this is where I feel a neutral density filter really shines, as it helps smooth out the clouds, it helps bring in more light, which was right over in here, and again adds that extra pop of color. This is the raw file straight out of camera. You can see there's color. There's some nice oranges just starting to light up in here, but there's not much going on. If you could edit it and really push out those colors, but I find that using a neutral density filter automatically already brings that drama out for you, which means you don't have to edit as much. Here is again after using a 10-stop neutral density filter, and then the before. Pretty big difference in my opinion, and another reason why I love shooting long exposures. I also want to announce that I am now offering one-on-one Skype post-processing sessions where you guys can find out how I edit like this. I promise my editing is actually really simple and easy to follow, but I will take you through exactly how I edit, and we can edit some of your images or we can edit some of mine, and we can pick apart compositions. And I'm just happy to give you guys advice on how to grow your landscape photography. So if you want to connect with me, you want to come have that session with me, just follow the link in my description to my website where you'll find out more info and where you can contact me from. I hope you guys found all of that useful, and I hope it inspires you to get out there and do some long exposure photography. Right now we are living in coronavirus times, so I'm actually really curious. Let me know in the comments below. Are you guys able to get out and go shoot, or are you pretty much just stuck at home? Is there anywhere quiet where there's no people around that you could go shoot? I'm pretty sure where I live there's no one at the lake, so if I wanted to, I probably could get out and get a little exercise at the lake, or let Ollie get some exercise, and I could probably still photograph. However, I'm not really taking that chance right now, but I am again really curious to know how you guys are going about your photography life while we are going through these times. I hope that you guys subscribe and continue to follow me while I continue to learn how to make videos and share all my knowledge with you. Hopefully, once we can get back outside, I'll be able to just do most of my filming outside, which is my original plan, but for, I would say, the foreseeable future, I'm going to be inside, probably just right here in this very spot doing most of my videos. So I hope you're all doing well, and I can't wait to see you guys. Ollie, oh my goodness, Ollie's gone now. I hope everyone is staying healthy and again staying safe. I know we all say that, but I really do hope you're all doing well. Talk to you again soon in the next video. Bye!